Chuckleinic. I'm a reenactor. That means I dress funny and try to bring the past to life. For 36 years, that's what I did in the classroom. Well, now I've got time on my hands, a room that is filled to way beyond capacity with garb from different time periods, a passion for bringing the past to life that hasn't gone away, and a desire to preserve landmarks, which is kind of timely when you consider just how many of them have gone away. I just took care of covering Mission San Gabriel Archangel, which suffered a devastating fire and is now in the process of rebuilding. And the reason I did that, I'm on what I very pretentiously like to call my Mission Odyssey, where I'm going to travel to each one of the missions in Alta California. Okay, California for us, alright? I'm also hitting the Asistencias, the Estancias, the Presidios, which guarded the missions, Asistencias and Estancias, and other landmarks along the way. So I've just left the Mission San Gabriel area and I'm driving the 32 miles to Mission San Fernando Rey de España, the 17th mission in the chain of 21 or 23 missions, depending on who you talk to. And I hope you stick with me. Okay, I cheated a little bit. I decided I would go up the 210 across to the 118 to get to Mission San Fernando rather than follow the Camino Real, which means essentially going through downtown LA. I cheated. It's going to take quite a while for Mission San Fernando Rey de España to get established. It won't get established until September 8th of 1797, along with 3 other missions to fill in the gaps. Portola passed through a large valley named Santa Catalina de Bologna de los Encinos. It would be here where Father Lasson, the successor to Father Serra, would found the 17th mission. He wished to close the gaps in the Camino Real and founded 4 missions that summer. 4 presidios protected the missions. When the mission was constructed, the builders wanted to take advantage of the Camino Real, which was just a crude little road back then. It was also supposed to originally have been equidistant between Mission San Buenaventura and Mission San Gabriel. However, the Camino Real allowed access also to the Pueblo of Los Angeles, so the Padres wanted to kind of not so much split the difference, but get closer to Los Angeles to take advantage of the situation. The best land was already claimed by Don Francisco Reyes. Some say he had to be forcibly evicted, others say he received a land grant, El Encino. If you're going to build a mission, you're going to probably build in a quadrangle with the church, shops, and living quarters all in a nice square. Between 1797 and 1806, 3 different chapels were built for the mission. The third one completed the quadrangle. And this is the model that people have fallen back to whenever there was a need to rebuild, such as after the 1812 earthquake, which devastated many of the missions. There was also the need to rebuild after secularization, and the 1971 earthquake. Majordomo, who served as the steward of the mission, had his quarters in another quarter of the quadrangle. This is the convento, which most people tend to confuse with actually being the mission itself. So what is the convento? Well, it's called the Long Building for kind of obvious reasons. This was completed about 1822 after 12 years of construction. There's a colonnade of 19 arches, 21 if you count the ends. It's got over 20 rooms, 14 on the first floor, including quarters for resident priests, a chapel, a kitchen, winery, storehouse, reception hall, and guest accommodations, because this was right next to the Camino Real and this was a popular stopping off spot. So, what's this building next to it? Seems like it's part of the convento. This, which I thought of as maybe an alternate entrance, this was a gardener's shed. Here it is, looking all pretty today, and the way it used to look. So how did this get built? You're going to need more than adobe. Okay, here's part of what you need for construction materials for the missions. You're going to need limestone and you're going to need oak trees. And both were plentiful in the area. This is the Chatsworth Calera behind that fence back there that I'm not allowed to get past. And this is where a lot of the limestone deposits were dug up. There were a number of these deposits and kilns throughout the San Fernando Valley. They called them hornos de cal. And in order to get what you need out of this, you're going to need to put limestone in a kiln, and the native Californians chop the tops of oak trees off and shove them into the kiln, set that on fire, and when everything was done burning, you hauled out what was left, and that was basically lime ash. And that was going to be useful in making concrete, making cement. By the way, it's also going to be really useful when the hides of cattle are being tanned, because that would be put in the tanning vats. Now here we have oak trees growing in the area, and they would have fed the fires. And that awning covers one of the kilns. One of the things that I wasn't taught in school was the vast numbers, the different varieties of tribes that lived in California. When you learn mission history in the 4th grade, you hear about the various tribes, and what I remember was they all seemed to be named after the missions. Kind of left out a few little details. And so we have to kind of take a look at this. When the padres came in and decided to establish Mission San Fernando Rey de España in 1797, they came into the San Fernando Valley, or what was later going to become the San Fernando Valley, and they ended up incorporating the native Californians, who were living here, into their system. And they were given the name Fernandeño. And one of the things that gets kind of left out is there were different groups living here. In the southern portion of the valley were the Tongva. You go on the other side of the hills, they're being called the Gabrieleno. And on the northern end of the valley, you have the Tatavium. In the east Simi Valley area, where I happen to be right now, there's the Chumash. And part of the reason I came up here today is because in those hills back there, protected from the public, are some petroglyphs. Have to be protected from the public because guess what? People are stupid. But if you want to actually see what they look like, obviously keep looking at this video, or you can go to the, I believe, the magazine section in the Simi Valley Library when it opens after COVID. Then we can all start playing again. Well, here are these different tribes, and they're going to be essentially merged together by the Spanish. So the Tongva and the Tatavium, they reckon their lineage by being patrilineal. This lineage thing's really huge, by the way. I'll get to that in a moment. The Chumash were matrilineal. The Spanish didn't care about that. But lineage was a way to determine who you were related to, who was family, who you could inherit from, to whom your possessions are going to go when you pass. That's all bound up in there. And it's kind of determining who you are. So there's two different systems. And the Spanish really are not interested in that. Oh, and by the way, they're going to lump the various native Californians together, refer to them by the mission name, and no, you're one people. They're speaking different languages, they have different ways of reckoning lineage, and this is going to be something that's, in a way, almost as devastating as disease. Oh, and by the way, the Spanish come in and introduce the concept of a godfather. So that really messes with the system. Yep, and now the native Californians are intermarrying with each other. So when those children are born, who do they consider their family? Who do they consider their lineage? Are they patrilineal or are they matrilineal? There's really four tribes here. The Kitanemuk, the Tongva, the Tatavium, and the Chumash, all going to be merged together. These are Tatavium petroglyphs. These are Chumash. They're all going to be farming together, raising food for the mission. They'll be raising cattle and branding them with the mission brand, One Happy Family. And since every mission is in the business of growing food, we got to find out where they get the water. Go north about 2 miles into Sylmar and you'll find the mission's original water source. Today seems to be a day of fences. Behind this fence is a settling basin that was built by the Tatavium and the Tongva to basically remove yucky stuff from the water that came from the streams. These streams were the reason that Mission San Fernando got located where it did, because the original spot, which was supposed to be halfway between Mission San Buenaventura and Mission San Gabriel, was actually a pretty dry spot, and this seemed more feasible. So Mission gets built. They're taking advantage of the water coming out. And even though it's called mission wells, there were no wells until later on after the mission period. So there's a marker you can't get to, but I've stuck my hand through the fence. And next to it is the settling basin, or I would imagine one of the many that were built. There's a better view of the settling basin, which removed the suspended stream sediment from the water supply. There's also a view of the plaque, now guarded by a fence. Now we're going to travel 1.3 miles south to Mission Hills. This is what's left of the San Fernando Mission Dam that was constructed by the Tongva. It's all filled in now. Things got a little more settled at Mission San Fernando. Estancias were being established. Now remember, an estancia is like a ranch station, and it's designed to supplement what's going on at the mission. And in 1804, Estancia San Francisco Xavier was established here about 15 miles away from the mission. And while it served as a ranch station, it may also have served as a religious outpost. Some people have said that it was an asistencia, a spin-off mission, but that's never been established. Now, there's not even a marker here. Alright? But you might recognize what grew up in the neighborhood. Well, that didn't work. I thought I was done. I have to come back. So, I will, because I have time on my hands and a relatively full tank of gas. And I've got a passion for doing this. Maybe an obsession. So I hope you stick with me.